Awesome. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Waterloo Product Management Club's podcast. Today, we're here with a very special guest, Iris, who is a Waterloo alumni and has previously worked in product management roles across both Canadian and American landscapes at companies like Google X, Microsoft, Neo, and Scale AI. Currently, she's working with Arteria AI, which also happens to be where I last interned as an associate product manager. On the side, she's also completing a master's degree in analytics and AI from Queen's University. Iris formerly found an impact driven nonprofit called OpenMeal and led a team of 50 at her own startup, Neutrify. Her unwavering commitment to personal and professional development continues to inspire us, and we are very thrilled to be chatting with you today, Iris.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's get right into it. I guess one of the first questions we had for you is how have your experiences with product management positions differed from company to company in terms of, I guess, startups, since you're with Artier right now, versus bigger companies like Google and Microsoft, that which you were with earlier?
Great question. Honestly, every one of my PM role were just so different from each other. There are many different spectrums that I will look at. So first is in terms of the stage of the product. So this plays in a very big role in my role as PM in terms of whether this product is before launching, where we're still doing ideation, or it has already launched and we're doing a lot of feature improvement, or we're doing more go-to-market or closer to understanding competitor landscape and doing a lot less analysis there. So I think based on the stage of the product, this really means that my day-to-day will be very different. And in terms of startups versus bigger companies, I think that also means that my role is different in terms of the scope I get to do and the level of ownership and also the impact of my work. So for example, at Google X, where we were sort of like a startup within the Google incubator, X the Moonshot Factory. And there I was able to be given a scope of my own project and then to explore a new idea for the robot and understand whether it's possible for our robot arm to be doing cleaning tasks while and replace that with alternative robot. And whereas at Microsoft, I was working on accessibility features for people with ADHD and understanding how we can dive deeper into user research, understanding their pain point, and then developing a feature within the Microsoft Windows ecosystem. And then at Scale AI, I was working on very much generalizing pipelines for data labeling and then seeing how we can develop scalable solution for a lot of companies to label their data more efficiently. And then now I'm working at Arteria AI, which is a Series B AI startup. And we do AI for a lot of banks, and we help them generate contracts as well as other documents where people are able to automate that processes and be able to negotiate better with other banks in the document space. So that has been really fun. And I feel like this role currently has been really challenging and also very much the right size for me because it's in Series B, where I would still have a lot of ownership and the team is very much a flat structure, but at the same time, it has enough structure put in place where it's not overly chaotic compared to super early stage startups. So I would say at different stages of the company, you also see different layers in terms of management. Like Microsoft was a lot more structured, whereas Scale AI and Arteria AI are both more towards the startup side. So you can have more flexibility in terms of your role and your responsibility, and you can express what your interests in terms of what you want to work on and choose to do things that you're more interested in. So I would say as well as industry also play a huge role in terms of the different experience, like working in robotics versus accessibility versus VC space versus AI. and currently in, I guess, AI for financial industry are all very different experience. And I think about our customer in different ways. So yeah, I think it's it's very fun to have them able to work with different companies in these PM roles.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess like from what I'm hearing, there are pros and cons to each, but it's definitely, I guess, worth trying each one out, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely explore different options and then you'll figure out which kind of role you like better.
For sure, for sure. I guess kind of speaking of that, what did you focus on in undergrad that you believe helped you excel in landing the internships you did and have a career in PM today? Like, was this coursework, extracurriculars, or did you have any mentors that inspired you? We would love to learn more.
Yeah, for sure. So I first discovered product management at Hack the North actually, where I heard this role called product manager who actually take zero of the credit but have like all of the work and all of the blame if something goes wrong. So I was like, oh, that sounds like a very interesting role. Let me look into that. So I think just getting to know about that was a great starting point. And then once I realized that this is something that I'm interested in after having coffee chats with 10 to 20 people who are existing PMs, then I decided that this is something that I want to pivot into because I actually started out studying finance and accounting in my undergrad, and that was very much not relevant to PM. And to be able to pivot and transition into becoming a product manager, after my second year, it was already too late for me to switch to a different major. So then I decided to just heavily index on extracurricular and then building out my product portfolio. So how I did that was first I started providing free PM work help to startups where I was just working as a PM to gain experience and not getting paid while doing school. So those were just like my part-time working experience. And then I also launched a nonprofit during COVID. So this nonprofit was called OpenMeal, and it was to help people who are food insecure to get free meals from restaurants that are minority owned and were struggling during COVID. So this, I would say, was a huge pivotal moment for me because through the nonprofit, we were able to scale up to fundraising $42,000 and giving out over 3,000 meals to people in need during COVID. And building that platform from 0 to 1 was what really allowed me to pivot into PM because whenever people interview me, they will ask me about my experience building that product, where I did all the work as a PM, where I validated the problem and the pain point, interviewed the users, and then did the groundwork in launching like go-to-market campaigns for the product, built out the B2B2C platform, understood what we need for the MVP, and then designing these features, working with engineer designers, and eventually launching the feature and the product, and then improving our pipeline and funnels for user acquisition and tracking all the metrics to make sure our features are successful. So it was very much like end-to-end product work. And I think that was the most helpful thing in my product journey, was to build something myself and being able to launch it and solve a real problem. So I would say for anyone that's also looking to pivot into PM, that's probably like the most important thing that you want to think about is how you can build a side project. It could be your passion project, could be some kind of extracurricular, where you're able to solve real pain points for consumers. And this is going to show that you have product skills and product intuition, and that you're able to build something of value to customers without landing your first PM role. So I think that's definitely very important. And then coursework wise, I took up a minor in it was called the computing option. I wasn't in math, so I can't do the CS minor, but computing option is basically like a CS minor where you take 8 CS courses, and you learn about basic of like data structure, and then a lot of like the basic stuff that you would need to know to just for me it was very helpful because then I was able to bridge that gap between business and technical and be able to communicate better with engineers and then understand like system design better. um, as a business background PM was extremely valuable to me. Then in terms of mentorship, I think networking is super important for anyone in the business world, really. And I feel like I was fortunate enough to get into PM communities where I was able to meet other fellow PMs, either my peers who were really able to like cross mentor each other, or older PMs who end up becoming my very close friends. And this these people I usually met through communities. Like I was in Southern Asian product management, like SAPM. That was a huge one. And then I also met a lot of people through building my nonprofit, where I just went to a bunch of hackathons and then met people through the hackathons. So I would just encourage anyone to go to as many events that are relevant to what you're looking for, and just be open and open-minded in meeting people. And first and foremost, treat everyone as a friend from a human level. If you take the mindset of making friends, I think you will definitely not only have friends, but also have great mentors in your life.
That's so inspiring to hear that you came from a non, I guess, technical background with your degree at first, but then the initiative you took to kind of understand that both that technical aspect and kind of understanding that end-to-end building process through your nonprofit. I think I see that a lot too. Like I used to feel that way in first year as well. That hey, I don't even have my first product management internship yet, but how am I supposed to understand the responsibilities of a product manager without having one, right? But the fact that you scaled your nonprofit to that level like shows you that you can really have a side project or honestly just any idea that you can dabble around with. And yeah, super great to hear about that. um I guess another question we had for you was um we saw that you're pursuing your master's right now with Queen's University, and how has that experience been? Perhaps like what were your motivations behind it, and is that something you recommend for current or aspiring PMs?
Yeah, for sure. So currently I'm doing a studying while working master's in analytics and management. So it's called Master of um, Management Analytics. And so this is a master at Queen's where I'm able to take the classes in downtown Toronto. And I've been learning a lot more about AI analytics and the industry trends and how to apply this also in like a leadership kind of role. So I would say it's not necessary for PMs to have a master. I'm taking it mostly because I just want to up-level my technical understanding in terms of AI and analytics, and also being able to build a network with others who have like 5+ years of work experience, and then just having my classmates to talk to from different industry and gain perspectives about problems that they're facing has been really fulfilling and very interesting. I would say it's helpful for me in terms of like future management role, because it does teach me a lot of soft skills, because this master's is really team-based program. So everything we do is based on the like teamwork. So there involve a lot more like soft skill based learning approach, and I feel like this has been pretty insightful for me. Like we did the Big Five personality test at the beginning of the program, where I was able to see my strengths and weaknesses. Like I was an extreme extrovert, but then I was able to see like, oh, what are some of the caveat of being an extrovert? Like, do I give enough space for other people to talk, and am I good at listening? So just like being really mindful of um, all the strength and the potential weaknesses you have on the other side, and just becoming a better person in terms of personality wise, and then just how I present myself in a team setting is it's been it's been a really cool learning experience to just work with people from different backgrounds and people in many different industries, such as like agriculture or e-commerce or banking, and just industries that maybe I didn't have as much exposure in. Um, has been really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have a follow-up question though. How do you like kind of balance working and studying for your master's at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it's always hard when you have competing priorities. And for me, I also love making friends. So I also like to keep up with my social life, but it's definitely hard. I think I just have to make sacrifices here and there. And then right now, my top priority would be work and then school and then my like other relationships. So I think for me to balance all of these and still not be stressed out, it's really important, first and foremost, for me to take care of myself, like my health, my mental health. And I think when I feel recharged every night through like meditation and journaling, I would feel like I have more energy during the day, and then I can. It's I think it's not about like how many hours I have. It's about how effectively I can use those hours to do stuff, and then if I can work smarter and all, like I mean work hard as well, but like I think working smarter is more important. Just being able to use my hours more effectively for studying, and I mean I'll be studying after work, and then uh be trying to accomplish as much as I can during work hours. So yeah, but then there are definitely things that I need to sacrifice in terms of like going to social events and um just making sure that I'm putting my priority right and um completing the most important things first.
Yeah, for sure. That's great advice. I think I hear a lot that you should be working smarter and not always necessarily harder. So I'm really glad to hear that. That's been going well for you. I guess the next question I had was, what are some challenges that you have faced in your product management journey that you feel are less spoken of, and how did you overcome them? Like some possible, I guess, pillars could be like maybe relating to diversity or mental health and burnout, or whatever you think is something that you've experienced.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely very common for PMs to feel like burnt out because meetings are such a big part of product managers' days. And for a lot of PMs, I know they just have like meetings 9 to 5, and then they work after 5. So that is definitely it's terrible. And sometimes I see PMs at my company who also does that, and then it's just really hard, and they just don't have time. So I think that has been one. And in terms of overcoming it, I think really it's about having the necessary meetings, because some meetings I think are likely like, and you don't need to have input in a meeting. Just like being comfortable and saying no to meetings that you don't need to be there for, and utilizing your times for things that are more important, and then being able to dedicate time for your individual work time could be a way for you to reduce meeting time and then reduce that kind of burnout. And some other challenges that I've heard about very often is from a lot of my friends and students that I mentor, is that it's really hard to break into PM, just job search wise, and then finding PM roles, interviewing for them, landing an offer. Like those are all they're difficult, and because of how competitive product management has become, it's just hard to get into it when you don't have product experience. It's kind of like a chicken and egg problem. So I would say I actually have been doing like career coaching for a few years now, where I help students and people who are trying to break into PM to overcome these issues and then figure out the pain points in their job search journey. I think it's really important to recognize just how you can break down the different pieces in the job search and then identifying the root cause of the problems and how to become better in job searching, because I think job searching is a skill, and that's what Waterloo has trained us in, just becoming really good at job searching. So I would say for those who are struggling with job search, you definitely want to first make sure that you have a great resume that really captures what the kind of jobs you're looking for is highlighting in the job description, and then capturing those skill sets and then making sure you quantifying your impact on your resume. And I think networking is a huge piece, because a lot of jobs that I've landed are through referrals, and just really important for you to get out there and network. And interview skill is a huge one as well. I do so many mock interviews with other people, and a lot of times people are just not aware of the image that they're portraying in the interview, and just like your tone of voice and how you sound in an interview, how you present yourself are actually very important. Like how you deliver the message. How, like, do you sound excited, or do you sound like you're just reading a very boring textbook? Like, all of these are minor details that really put a huge emphasis on your personal image and how you want the interviewer to see you as. So, and then just like the way you describe your past experience, how you project yourself, like, do you have confidence, and are you able to just talk about your experience very well in a well-structured way, and then structure all the unstructured problems that people throw at you for product design questions, strategy questions, and I think those all take a lot of practice. So yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, for sure. Those were some tips I had to hear as well. So I'm really glad you touched on that aspect about how hard it's become to honestly just land PM internships these days. Like, there's thousands of applications for honestly just a handful of roles. So thanks for talking about that. Another question I guess I had, this is kind of different from what we've already talked about, is what is your stance around AI and its impact on PM positions in the foreseeable future? Do you think the product management position will change, like, going forward, like the responsibilities primarily? And how do you think people can kind of prepare themselves to adjust to these changes?
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, having worked at 3 AI startups so far, I felt like AI is actually just such a huge trend, and I really believe that PM roles will not be replaced by AI, but not knowing how to use AI will make you replaced by other PMs, but who know how to use AI. So it's definitely a very important skill for PMs to know and understand. And I would say how I see PM roles changing is that there will be a lot less groundwork, and maybe doing competitive analysis. If these kind of roles are able to do more, basically you can leverage AI to do a lot of things that you need to do, like Google searches for, and building a dashboard. I think leveraging data to showcase how different metrics are impacting your feature and impacting consumers' behavior. Like, these should slowly get automated through AI, and the process of building it should get easier as like AI start writing SQL queries and then being able to capture the data in your product. And I would say other roles like creating Jira tickets. I feel like the content itself will still need to be written by AI, but the process can definitely, like, if we are able to automate a lot more workflow related things, I think AI will be able to capture, like, oh, this is what you do after you create a ticket, and like after you move this to the next status, like, who should you notify if this happens, then that. So just like building out a more automated workflow, I think are all places where AI could have a lot of help in helping to minimize the amount of manual work a PM needs to do, but instead focusing on more of the strategy work, the creativity work, the understanding customer pain point, and then generating value for customer kind of work. These are still work that will likely not be replaced by AI, but still require a lot of human brain to think through. So I think going forward, it's just really important for PMs to work on product intuition and understanding really the key problems for every product that you're building, and then building up your framework to structure unstructured problems, and then being able to think critically and just, I mean, I think PM is really just a problem-solving role. Like all the things that I've worked on are just about how to solve problems for consumers, how to provide value. Like that is what PM is about. And just thinking about that from different levels. So from like very granular level to very high strategy level, like all of these different levels varies based on whether your role is more strategy focused or more execution focused, or a mix, which a lot of time PM roles are a mix. So you need to both have the detail oriented view of how to execute on a feature and the higher level strategy view of how this feature fit into the bigger picture and is beneficial for the customer and for the portfolio of the product the company has. So I would say these skill sets are still going to be the key skill set that a PM needs to have. But in order to prepare for transition where AI will have a bigger role in products' day-to-day life, I think it's just important for PMs to get yourself educated on the capability of AI, like the newest trend of AI. What is AI being applied to? What are some newest use cases that you've been seeing AI in? Like one of the YC startup that I recently worked with was called Study AI. So they were working on using AI for homework problems. So then students can take a photo of their homework and then come up with step-by-step solutions in the app. So just being aware of what kind of things AI can do can really help a lot in making your job easier and just helping you to automate part of your job. So I believe that every PM should be putting time into just understanding AI from a fundamental level and also being able to apply it in your job and in daily basis, just to make your life easier.
Yeah. You've hit some amazing points. I guess that's like everyone kind of fears that the jobs are going to be replaced, but rather upskilling yourself is just super important. And I guess while you were talking about how PMs can also use AI in their roles, I also thought of how PMs can be more easily trained with AI and all of that work you have to do when you start, because at Waterloo you do internships, right? And it's in 4 months. And then you spend practically your first month just learning about the company and how they run their sprints and how their devs work and everything. And I feel like AI can really help make those aspects of a PM's job so much easier. So amazing points there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So I didn't have a lot of other questions, but I guess to maybe kind of wrap it up, since you have completed so many internships and now you're working full time as well, how do you personally measure success as a product manager? Like, do you usually interact with stakeholders? Do you gauge feedback from senior product managers? Like, how do you think a product manager can constantly reflect and understand how they're growing in their role?
Yeah, for sure. It's important to not only measure success for a product but I'm building, but also for myself in terms of how successful I am as a PM. So how I track my progress is that I like to first really track what I'm doing on a daily basis. So I would usually write down like key bullet points of things that I've achieved every day, of things that I've done, and then problems that I was able to solve on a daily basis. And then I would try to ask for weekly feedback from either other PMs, my manager, or peers that I'm working with, or even just like after every session, because I host a lot of brainstorming sessions with my team where I would be bringing up the structure or this idea or framework. And then I'll be presenting a problem that we have and presenting a potential solution, and then brainstorming with my team. So to gather the feedback in terms of like any of the design requirements, technical requirement, to get all kind of stakeholder to brainstorm ideas together. So after every one of these like brainstorming sessions, I would usually go ask feedback from designers and engineers and asking them, hey, how do you think this session could be hosted differently? Like, do you think you were able to get your opinions heard? And did you think that the brainstorming session was efficient? And just, I think always trying to get stakeholders to give you feedback is a great way for me to grow and then to understand if there are things that I could have done better. And then also asking for direct feedback and instant feedback is really helpful. So if I feel like there's something that I could have done better, or there's something that I want to get feedback for, I would usually ask for it directly and to get it as soon as possible, instead of like waiting for, oh, maybe I'll wait for like this next meeting to talk about it. But I think just like getting that instant feedback will really just help me grow and iterate my working style quicker, and then being able to adjust to this new environment. And in terms of like long-term success as a PM, I think since I've worked at so many different places and every place is really different, it's hard to evaluate whether, oh, this place is like better than the last place, so my career is progressing. Like, I think career is not really a linear road. Like, it's not like this place has to be better than my last place to show that I'm progressing. I think every road's different, and then as long as I think I'm growing as a person and that I'm growing my skill set, that I'm learning more, that I'm growing towards giving more influence to people around me, and that eventually I will grow into like a people leading or manager kind of role where I can have a positive impact on my team. And I think that really matters to me. Just having impact on not just the product, but also the people around me. Then that to me is the most meaningful thing to measure how much progress I've made as a PM, and also just the positive impact that I'm able to have on people around me.
For sure. That was such a great note to end things off at. I think like it's so easy to get wrapped up in what you're doing. Like, I think especially when you do internships, you just keep on thinking that, oh, am I progressing? Am I maybe getting something at a larger company or whatnot? But like you said, every role is so different, and I think every place teaches you something new. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And yeah, those were all the questions I had for us today. I just want to take a moment to thank you again for joining us. And we know your time is invaluable given how much you are doing right now, but it was really inspiring to hear from you. I'm sure everyone's going to love this episode. So thank you very much, Iris.
Yeah, thank you so much for interviewing me. It's a huge pleasure.